Good afternoon. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about terminating decimals. So let's begin with this launch. A certain surly friend of yours likes 1 divided by 2 far better than 1 divided by 3. He says at least you can clearly see the answer to 1 divided by 2. Show and explain with decimals what might make your certain friend surly about 1 divided by 3, but happy about 1 divided by 2. We know right away 1 divided by 2 is 1/2, which we know is the decimal 0 5/10. If we look at 1/3, 1 divided by 3 is 1/3, we know from yesterday that it is the repeating decimal 0.3, with the 3 repeating. And I agree with the surly friend. I like 1/2 better because it's a terminating decimal. It stops. It does not go on anymore. But 1/3 goes on forever. So 1/2 is clearly a nicer fraction to work with when it's written in decimal form. So our key concept, a terminating decimal has a decimal expansion that ends in zeros. For example, if we look at 3/4 right here, and I change it as 3 divided by 4, and so 4 going into the 3, when I do my arithmetic on that, I get a remainder of 0. Technically, I could have my trailing zeros go on forever. However, we don't leave those trailing zeros. We get rid of them, and they terminate, they end. So 3/4 equals 0.75 or 75/100, and that is a terminating decimal. Here are some common fractions and their decimal expansions. You should memorize these. 1/2 is 0.5. 1/4 is half of a half. Half of 0.5 is 0.25. 1/6, I always remember it this way. I see the 16, the 1/6 from the 16, the 6 repeats. 1/9, we know from class yesterday, is 0.1 repeating. 1/3 we know as well is 0.3 repeating. 1/5 is 0.2. 1/8, if you want to think of it as half of a quarter, is 0.125. And that is how I remember a lot of these. Okay, I know that if I do half of means multiply of a quarter, I get half of 0.25. Half of 25 is 12.5. 0.125. Okay. And 1/10, simply here, 1/10 if you write it as a decimal. 0.1, it's 1/10. Okay. So the only one that you might have to struggle with is remembering 1/8. You might have to think about that one a little bit. Okay? But if you know these, it helps you later on. You can be much quicker with working. So what I want you to do is circle the fractions and decimals that can be written as a terminating decimal, and I'll come right back. Did you circle these 5 choices? If so, great. You knew that 0.84 with the ... that's a repeater, as is the 1.72 with the bar over it. And the other 2 you knew from the table up above. So let's move on. Which are terminating decimals? So I want you to circle the ones that are. And when I did that, I circled the numbers 1, 2, and 4. Those are all terminating decimals. This one repeats. Okay? Is 407 a terminating decimal? Explain. And I'll let you do that and we'll come back. You can write 407 as 407.00 ... So yes, it is a terminating decimal. Okay? Because no numbers carry on at the end. A recipe for a 6-foot sub calls for 1 3/4 pounds of cheese. You want to get the exact amount from the deli counter. What decimal should the scale show? We know 3/4 is the terminating decimal 0.75. So it should show 1.75 pounds. For the next one, a recipe calls for a 6-foot sub, calls for 3 7/8 pounds of sliced deli meat. You want to get the exact amount from the deli counter. What decimal should the digital scale show? I'm going to let you work on this one. And then come back to me. Pause it and then come back to me when you are done. Now there are 3 ways you could have taken care of 7/8, and I have 2 of them right here. The answer is 3.875 pounds. Okay? So here's what I did. I didn't do 7/8 7 divided by 8 on my calculator, which you could have done. I knew that 1/8 is the same as 0.125. Here. So I knew 7/8 was 1 minus 1/8. So I did 1 minus 0.125, gave me 0.875. Or the other thing you could have done, you could have said, if you look up here in the green, 1/8, I should have written it right, 7/8 is equal to 7 times 1/8. So 7 times 0.125 gave me 0.875. Any of the 3 ways would be acceptable. Okay, I'm sure most of you would choose your calculator first, but I want you to see the other ways of doing the math without needing a calculator. Okay, we want to write the mixed number next to the decimal equivalent. So 7 and 0.125, well, we just saw that up above, that's 1/8. Do I have 7 and 1/8 as a choice? We do, 7 and 1/8. 7.28, all right, we gotta look here. We gotta do some converting. This is 7 and 28/100ths. So when I do some reducing, let's see, 28/100ths, this can reduce down, 7 goes into 28, I'm sorry, 4 goes into 7, 4 goes into 28 7 times, and 4 goes into 100 25 times. 7 and 7/25 is not a possibility, but I do see the 71, so 7 and 21 and 75. If I multiply the numerator of this by 3, and the denominator of this by 3, oh, I'm going to get 21 over 75. For 7.5, we know it's 7 and 1/2. That was a nice easy one for us. In 7.6, 7 and 6/10, I know 6/10 can reduce down to 3/5. So 7 and 3/5. So I want you to look at examples 7 and 8 for me, and then we are going to come back. Okay, so when I look at this, for 7, 1/5 we know is 2/10, so it's 8.2. And for 8, why isn't this a terminating decimal? Because if you look carefully, this entire block here repeats. The 1 is also in there. So when we were to, if we were to write this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, you got another 1. And another 1. And so that 1 is in there. It's not just a block of zeros, but that 1 is included as well. I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. I'll see you guys in class tomorrow. Have a great night.